All right, guys, it's Paul and Ed with the MIDCONVO podcast. And today we have a special guest, Puno, the founder of I Love Creatives. We're about to get it today. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited to chat with Puno. Is someone that we've been following for a while now, and she's just a creative genius, in my opinion. So just her personality is awesome. So let's roll intro music and just start the conversation.
First things first, Puno, you showed up a little bit ago, and now we're drinking coffee out of a wine glass. How many cups of coffee do you have each day?
Not much.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like a 1 cup, I barely finish it kind of gal.
Dang.
I know. I think I'm just naturally
You got the energy.
caffeinated. Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah, but I like it. Like I like having a cup. I like the whole, ritual of it.
What's like the most important thing in your morning routine each day you wake up?
These days, get the baby out of the bed.
Paul's like relatable.
Low-key, I be forgetting sometimes.
Honestly, so I have the night shift and the morning shift.
Wow.
Yeah, so that I can day and night I can or like sleep shift, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm on. So I've been picking her up every morning at 7 a.m. or today it was 6.
Dang.
Yeah.
Tell
So
me, that's crazy.
So I got to be like,
So you have the night shift. Does that mean like you're up at the wee hour? Like you're literally up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. sometimes?
yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I was this morning. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
And you made it here. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I don't know.
seriously.
It's weird. I feel like I don't know. I'm a vampire.
Yes. I want.
We're about to get into it. This
Yeah,
episode's
this is
about to be
fire.
great. Oh my.
I need to go over there, take a picture.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, we're in a pretty cool space. We rented this for the podcast today. We have listeners that probably, are familiar with I Love Creatives and Puno and what you do, and maybe some that don't.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing right now?
Okay. So
The elevator pitch.
the elevator pitch. Not good at that, by the way. I started I Love Creatives, which is basically an online, you know what, actually? We call it now the digital trade school
Wow.
for creatives.
That's awesome.
I like that.
Yeah. So we basically do online education, but we have a community and jobs and lots of random things.
That's I love that. So she's a part of all things.
Yeah, and we also have a studio that's like a design agency, and we do like branding and packaging and videos.
Wow. What's that called?
I Love Creatives Studio.
Ooh, brand extension.
Yeah, brand extension.
You started the umbrella company, and now you're building out the little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love building rabbit holes in my whole world, and like anything that can help, like can be in this ecosystem, that's like my jam. I'm always looking for links,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so curious. So you're a creative at heart. What the heck made you want to create educational materials and build this community-based platform in an industry where, let's be honest, we often look at it like there's gatekeeping and there's competition. So what made you be like, you know what? I'm going to share everything that I've learned with everyone and have it be something that almost fuels their success. That's cool.
Okay. So it really started because I Love Creatives was originally a job board.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how it started. It was a newsletter. It was just these ads that look like classified ads, right? And then I was bootstrapping. I was like doing web design, and I needed to find a junior designer to help me. So I put an ad out on my own website on I Love Creatives. And then I got over 100 applicants.
Wow.
And this is for the title was, I need help. I need a junior Squarespace web designer.
Wow.
And I will pay $20 to $40 an hour based on experience. That was it was very specific. And 100 people said that they wanted to apply to this, right? Out of those 100, 95 of them, I think, just didn't. it wasn't what I needed. It was basically like Squarespace template-y looking things. And then I was like thinking about that and how niche and weird this whole Squarespace web design thing is anyways. And how would they know, you know, that that's good or what's bad or what's good or what I needed. And so I made a Squarespace course and I was just like, okay, I'm going to go in on this. Just like you guys are going in on this podcast. I was like, okay, I don't like the way online courses look right now. I don't like how they feel. I don't like the marketing funnels that they have. I don't like the portals. I don't like the LMS. I just want to make everything from scratch. And so I made my own, I hired a 3D designer and I made my own portal with like gamification. I used to work at Activision. So like I love that kind of stuff. Totally unnecessary, honestly. Like you don't need that.
Totally.
But I just wanted it. And then that was the first course. And I was thinking like if I could at least get, I don't know, 1,000 people to like want to take this course, then it'll be worth it. And then it was. And so I pivoted and like really went in on online education.
Dang.
Yeah.
How many people signed up for that
course?
Yeah.
Signed up and actually like about 3,500.
That's insane.
3,500, baby.
Because I mean, I always think about proof of concept.
Yeah.
Before like leveling up.
Yeah.
And like, was that an aha moment where you're like, oh, what? I'm like onto something.
Yeah. Yes.
Dang, I would have turned on some like T-Pain. Sorry. That's my music I dance to.
I was like, I remember the first time that or when we did the wait list, I was just surprised how many people even like signed up for the wait list. And then like we have, there's just.
That's insane.
It was insane. And I thought it was more insane because it's Squarespace.
Yeah.
But I mean, you took a tool that was readily available and like optimized. Everyone's trying to create something from scratch, but you used a tool that was already on the market, then made it your own.
Yeah.
And that's how it kind of blew up.
Yeah. And I think it helps too, because if you asked me like 10, 15 years ago, like, would you be a Squarespace website designer? I probably would be like, what are you talking about? You can't make that much money. But I made over 6 figures doing it. So I was like, I think when I talked about the actual money that I made, that's when people were like, oh, shit.
Yeah,
you know?
that's cool.
Yeah. Like 6 figures. People say 6 figures for a reason. Because
it's sweet that you paved the way for that, though, and you were open about it.
Yeah.
Because we've both ran into entrepreneurs and like creatives that are like not willing to talk about money. Pricing, business.
I love talking about money.
I would love to say like before we actually did a good amount of research on I Love Creatives and Puno, and one thing that we loved was the episode you did on a pod about freelancing, and we noticed like your vibe, like you just love talking about money, and like don't take it out like that. I'm just saying like you're very comfortable with it, and you're really good at like crashing down those walls of like the taboo topics. And so have you always just been like that? Like your authenticity and your transparency has just always just been a thing you're down for, or did you learn over time?
I think so, because, or at least when it mattered. I remember the first time that I even thought about it was when I wanted a raise.
Wow.
I was working at an advertising agency. I was a art director, and I was making $50,000, but I wanted more.
Totally.
But I didn't know how much more. So I like went to all the other senior art directors and I was like, hey, so how much money do you make?
I love that. That's great.
That's
was that in like
awesome.
the break room?
Yeah.
Like by the Keurig? Like,
And then when
Yeah.
they told you, you were just like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure, it stood in front of the door, but you know.
that's awesome.
And I had potato chips and I was like, so, make it casual. But like this one art director was like, oh yeah, I make $80,000. And I was like, I want to make $80,000. And so, So, I mean, so since then, I just ask people all the time, like, hey, how much money do you make? Or like,
Wow,
what do
that's
you,
cool.
remember I just asked you too, like,
Yeah.
how much did that cost?
Yeah.
How much did that cost?
You have to.
Yeah.
I think it's a shortcut. And I also think your personality, though,
Yeah.
kind of helps.
Yeah.
Because me and Ed have talked about on previous episodes, we grow up with almost being told not to talk about money.
Right.
Yeah.
Like growing up, I remember going to junior high and a friend of mine being like, what did your dad make? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna puke. I don't know. Or like you would never go to someone's house and be like, bro, this pad is sick.
Yeah.
How much does your dad make?
Yeah.
It's like we're told not to talk about money. Freelancers deal with this. And
Yeah.
I know that like when people listen to like, you know, you on podcasts and just like other creatives and social media, it's a breath of fresh air to be like, wow, there's actually a way to talk about pricing and money that's not scary
business,
and
yeah.
also isn't going to like, I mean, let's back up for a second though. Was there ever a point where your voice would quiver a little bit when you're like, what do you make? Or like, hey, can I get a raise type of thing?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. It's still awkward and it's like, but I remember when I did ask for that $80,000 raise,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of went really extreme. I like found another job
Mm-hmm.
that would pay me $80,000.
Oh, dang.
And I used that as my ultimatum.
Mm.
And
At your current job.
at my current job. And my executive creative director called me on it. He's like, you want this much and this company is going to pay you this much? And I was like, yes. And he's like, and you would leave this company to go work here. And I was like, yes.
That's so valuable. Also, props to you for being proactive in that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You had the backup plan.
I had the backup plan, but he called me on it because I didn't want to leave.
That's smart.
But I didn't have leverage.
Yo, that's awesome.
So it was kind of like he doesn't know if I'm serious, but I clearly have this other job offer.
Mm.
So
That's a power play.
Dang.
That's a power play.
do you have like power play?
some sound effects?
Yeah,
We need
we'll
the
put some air horns
SFX
in.
board right here.
Yeah.
Air horns.
We've thought about getting a little board with like sounds.
Oh, of course.
And letting our guests be like, air horn.
So
I'll just do it with my mouth.
I'll
Power
love to-
play.
I know Puno get just probably full of sound effects. You could probably
At the end, can
Pull
we
us
get you
on.
saying that in 3 different like versions so then we can use it?
1,000%.
All right,
You know
cool.
that? Okay. I also, before I got pregnant, made a VO reel.
Whoa.
Yeah.
wow.
'Cause
That's
I-
cool.
But I haven't done anything.
Was it
with
voices.com type of thing?
What do you mean?
Like to
having
get
a
hired for
voices
VO?
profile?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Dang.
cool.
I ain't gonna lie, I definitely set up a voices.com profile years ago when my mom's
You have
like,
the, you
Dude,
have
he
the,
has a really good.
you have
like,
the voice.
I wanted to be
the
a sports
voice.
announcer.
Oh.
Yeah. I'll do a little like announcing later for
at
you.
the end.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Maybe we should do like a photo or a Lightroom competition where you sportscast it.
Oh, I would go yo, with monitors to like
Yeah.
see where people are at
Yeah.
with their edits.
Oh snap! He just masked that mole.
Oh my gosh. Or even like web designers that are kind of introverted and quiet.
Yeah.
Just crushing like code in Squarespace.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Power play.
Dude, we could just
Oh
chat
my
here.
gosh.
I could just chat about nothing with you guys. And we'd be laughing the whole
Yeah.
time.
So we'll talk about money more in a little bit. But
Okay.
I want to know what the heck it was like when you became a mom. Because how old is your baby?
7 months.
7 months. So like, what was that like? Because I know that there's people that maybe are even working 9 to 5s, or
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a freelancer or whatever. It's almost like a moment where you're like, okay, what's going to change?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? How
Yeah.
am I going to have to pivot? What does that look like for you? Or what did it look like?
Well, I have to talk about my assumptions and my thoughts before
Wow.
I had her.
That's valuable. Yes.
You know? So before, I thought that I would go back to work
Mhm.
after 6 weeks.
I don't need no maternity.
I thought I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna hire help. We had I was gonna like just go back.
Mhm.
And I think that I just didn't, my concept of time was different. I felt like when Frankie came, I didn't realize, and this sounds so lame, but I didn't realize how much I wanted to hang out with her.
Wow.
Like, it sounds kind of mean actually, but I thought that like I needed to, make sure that I figure out my time so that I could still do the things that I want to do. But now I'm like, no, actually, I really want to hang out with her. How does everything else fit around that? And that was like a total mind shift for me. And help is real. Like if you don't have for me, childcare, like we had to get a full-time nanny. And if your baby is not sleeping through the night, like it's so impossible to do anything.
Yeah.
So I had to get those two things, and I didn't know anything about sleep training. I didn't know what the hell a wake window was until like maybe 4 weeks in. And I was like, what is all of this stuff?
Yeah.
And so I have like this huge spreadsheet now that like has the exact like sleep schedules that I needed for her. And now we're good, you know, like, but yeah. Those two things. Wait, what did you say about how it was like a month?
Like what changed? I mean, was your business? Were you just like, yeah, I'm going to continue working those hours and like?
Okay. Sorry, there's just so much I have to say about this. So the other thing was, before I was about to, you know, have a baby, I asked my other founder friend, like, what did she do to prepare her team? And so she was like, so I did a dry run, like a 2-week dry run to act like I wasn't here.
Whoa.
And to find all the holes and start delegating the shit out of them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was so good. So then we did that for 2 weeks. And then everything was like on a Notion table, and it was all delegated, every single thing. And that 2 weeks went really well. So I was like, cool. I felt really good. And then when I went on mat leave and I came back, the team had thrived.
Wow.
That's cool.
Thrived. Like they all felt a little bit more responsibility. They had jurisdiction. They were able to make decisions on their own. They didn't question themselves so much. And now that I'm back, I'm like, whoa, I literally can focus on something else.
That's amazing.
Because like this machine is now
it's working.
Yeah. And that's been incredible. So I would say like, if you have a team, I mean, just believe in them.
Wow.
And you know, you never know. And it was, I don't know. It was
you
just
built
really
out, you built out SOPs though.
SOPs.
Like you built out processes and stuff.
What's an SOP?
Standard operating procedures.
No, but probably all the systems you have in Notion right now.
You built out in Notion how things were going to flow and work with the change and the pivot.
Yeah.
So then things can continue to operate and grow.
Yes.
Which I feel like, I'll be honest, I forgot to do that when my firstborn. I'm like, my clients be hitting me up. What the heck? But like they didn't give a crap because they're like, no, we need these edits ASAP for this campaign that's going out next month.
Yeah.
So it's cool to hear that because your leadership in that obviously helped produce, fresh fruit on the other side. I'm curious though, with kind of that time, did you feel pressure to come back right away, or were you like,
no,
I'm gonna chill?
I didn't feel pressure to come back right away. Of course I want to come back. Like I have so many ideas about what we can do. But at the same time, I don't know. The whole point of me making I Love Creatives and like having this lifestyle anyways is to do whatever I want at the time.
Wow.
So like I can have that pressure, and I think it's healthy to have a little bit of that pressure, but I don't like make it an emotional energy suck, you know?
Yeah.
So
dang. How many people are working at I Love Creatives right now?
Like 10.
Sheesh.
That's a lot.
But they're not all full time.
But that's awesome.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a physical office, or are you remote?
And we've been remote before COVID.
Dang.
I'm that kind of person.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm also like the kind of person, I realize this, I'm not good at
Micromanaging?
building culture.
Okay.
It's weird because you would think, oh, you're so personable, blah, blah, blah. But when I want to work, I want to work. Like I want to get things done. I'm not mean, but I want to get things done. I want to work with people that I can rely on and trust and feel like you're helping me.
Yeah.
You know, like, so what I realized is that I really like autonomous remote kind of people, like freelancers. And that team just happened to like collide right before maternity leave, because I've had lots of different people that I've worked with before then. But now I know that that's like the type of people I like to.
How long do you think it took you? Like how many years of like outsourcing here and there, like getting a freelancer to help you with that or fill that hole?
Yeah.
How many years do you think it took to get to this point of like, okay, this is my team?
5 years. 5 years.
Wow.
Dang.
I feel like every small.
But I feel like I had it. I feel like I've always had it. I've always worked with really great people, but I think that there's always like, 1 or 2 people that, they realize I'm not the right fit for them,
Mm-hmm.
or the company's not the right fit for them, and vice versa.
Mm.
So I don't think that it's like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a point where this team that I currently have, something's going to break down. Like, you know, and it's not for anything. It's just because we're people. We like to change. So I don't like, I'm just relaxed right now and I'm like enjoying the moment. But I also know, you know,
You're being realistic.
it's just like human. We're going to not always do the same thing. I mean,
Hey, let's hit the dolphin noise. Dolphin her. That's so awesome.
Oh man, I love to shift gears just a little bit. One thing I'm so fascinated by what you do, Puno, is like the branding that you do. Like,
come on, you've inspired so many people.
It's seriously so inspiring. Like just the way you do everything, like the micro to the macro, like your website to like your Instagram post to like your captions. Like everything you do is so intentional, but also like the branding behind it is so you, unapologetically in a way. Can you tell me like where do you find inspiration from? Like how did you craft that like super unique just personality?
And it's all custom.
Yeah, like
right?
what do you mean all custom?
Like from the beginning, you talked about building I Love Creatives kind of from the ground up.
Yeah.
And how you wanted to create something that was customized and new and fresh, you know, fresh designs versus the template, right? So off of
how do you make it custom to yourself? Do you just, this is an idea I have and you just run with it?
Like I think when people see your work and also honestly your style, I can literally pick it out of a mood board. I'm like, that's from I Love Creatives.
I want to see this actually.
Like this has happened before as I've worked with teams on figuring out content for their website, what they're inspired by for design. And it's like I know you pop up on people's mood boards all the time and radar when it comes to like the design and the branding.
Well, in terms of the branding, I think it really helps that I'm a web designer. Because I didn't find my style until I built I Love Creatives and actually until I started doing Squarespace websites. Because before that, I was an art director and I would be working on Pepsi and Wells Fargo and they had their own brand guidelines. So I could never like
branch out.
Yeah. And then when I had to do that and also when I was working on these Squarespace websites, it was all these like little mini projects of people that had similar taste. So that allowed me to like, you know, find fonts that I liked. It allowed me to find photo styles that I liked, layouts that I liked. It just gave me like all of this information. And then because I'm a Squarespace designer and I Love Creatives is built on that, I was just able to iterate on the design whenever I felt like it, which was all the time. So I feel like that helped. Like you guys are looking, you know, at it right now. Like, wow, she must have done some kind of big plan.
Yeah.
She must have had like,
Totally,
you know, and no, I was literally iterating as I go. And in terms of like copy, it wasn't until I graduated from college that I didn't realize I was a pretty decent writer because I was like trying to get a job and this copywriter, this creative director was like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a copywriter or art director? And I was like, I don't know Photoshop, so copywriter.
Yeah, totally.
And then he was like, do you have any writing? And I actually had this like little Dreamweaver site where I wrote stories about ants biting my eye or something.
That's cool.
And then
so cool.
he was just like,
That's funny.
this is so funny. And he was like, you are a really good writer. And I was like, how do you, like, what's a good writer to you?
Wow.
And he was like, because I can hear your voice. Like, it's like you're talking to me. And so I was like, oh, so I could just do that.
Yeah.
And so I just like leaned in on that ever since.
I think that's a golden nugget because regardless of what you're pursuing,
Yeah.
if your voice comes through in whatever your content style is or copywriting or even web design, like that's huge because I feel like that's a true artist. Like if you look at like Picasso and like all these like, you know, historical artists, you can look at their artwork and be like, I know whose that is. It's not a copy necessarily.
Right.
Like
yeah.
it's a distinct style that really stands out.
Sure.
That's awesome.
I think, but at the same time, like, I feel like Yeah, writing's weird, right? Because writing is one of those things that it's not like design.
Yeah.
Design, I definitely copied to create and like copied and iterated. I call it activating inspiration.
Hey. Come on, air horns. That was a nuggie.
But basically, I don't know, with copywriting, it's so different. It really is like you, but everybody here has a different voice
Exactly.
and like intonations and slang.
How much of your success would you attribute to like just something you're naturally maybe gifted with, and how much of it is like calculated like skills that you've learned?
I think I'm not afraid to talk to strangers.
Ooh.
When I was really young, like in junior high, I got in trouble. I got in big trouble, and I had to move. My dad made me live with my grandparents
Hey.
in
Wow.
a totally different city when I was in 8th grade.
Dang.
Wow.
So I moved into a new junior high, and I had to make friends like immediately. Because, and particularly, I knew I didn't want to sit by myself at the lunch table. And I was like, I was just like, from the first period till whenever lunch was, I was like, I gotta make a friend. I gotta make a friend. I gotta make a friend. And then I just saw this other girl who looked really shy. And I went up to her and I was like, can I sit with you at lunch? And I told her, I was like, I'm new here. I'm telling you, I'm like freaking out about this lunch table thing.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, yeah.
Yeah,
And
totally.
then, so I sat with her and I realized at that point, like, I need, like, it's okay to talk to strangers and like, you know, talk about your fears or whatever. And since then, I've never had a problem talking to a stranger. Like, so important because with I Love Creatives, like being able to ask all these people, like, what do things cost? Like, how do I market? What do you do? Da, da, da. Like, I've been able to just source all this information and, you know, implement it. So,
Wow.
yeah.
There's like soft skills that come from that.
Oh, yeah.
That can't be taught. Like, I'll be honest with you, we both know that a lot of freelancers drop the ball on discovery calls or the money conversations because they don't have confidence in speaking or like simply having conversations with people of authority.
Yeah.
Where that season of you, hey, I want to be friends with you. Like, what the heck? I'm new to the school. Like, that was so pivotal, it sounds like, in every part of your business now.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like, I'll meet introverts and they'll blame being introverted on why they're not able to do certain things, which totally understand. But I do think like you put yourself out there in these situations that sometimes seem kind of uncomfortable, and ultimately it's going to help you on the other end.
I have a suggestion for introverts.
Yep.
If I'm like not sure what to say, I lean on questions.
Wow.
And I lean on, how can I help this person? Like, what problem does this person have in their life, in their work, that I can just help them with?
Wow.
And then even if I don't know the answer, I'll Google it or I'll try to figure it out for someone. But like, as a freelancer, you are in the service-based industry.
Yeah.
Like, and you are always trying to figure out someone else's problem. That's why you get paid. So I like lean on that all the time. And you don't have to have personality to help someone, you know, you just need to help them.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I do feel like maybe, I don't know, maybe just the way we all live with social media and everyone's kind of like trying to make YouTube, trying to make content, everyone's trying to share their own voice. I feel like asking questions, like, it's kind of get lost. Like, there's not that many people to just focus on asking questions and not talking. Like,
Yeah.
it's just listening, you know, like listening to other people. That's like kind of something that gets lost, I feel. So it's a really good tip for people who are maybe introverted, who don't want to speak all the time. Because there's this big pressure, which was my next question. With social media, there's like this big pressure to just show up every day, always be talking, always have a voice, have a personality. But some people I feel like are just not like that.
Yeah. And I think that introverts are the best listeners. So it's like they're leaning in on their own superpower in a way, you know? Just ask the questions.
How have you adapted with the social media like change is all? Like, every time you have social media posts and I see, I'm like, this is so like creative and something that I probably would never think of posting because I'm like trying to fit myself into some sort of template or what works.
Are you talking about I Love Creatives or like my personal stuff?
Both. Yeah. Because they're both very creative in their own ways. But I also really love your personal account because you show so much of your like your personal life, but it's still somehow like branded. Like it still fits into like
If you launched a clothing brand tomorrow,
yeah,
low key, I'd buy some stuff.
it's like if you sold anything,
It's just Ganny.
yeah, like if you sold anything.
Yeah, dang, she just name dropped. Yo, that's
But
awesome.
like I love that about your work because it's something that just shows up in your everyday life.
Well, I can't take credit for I Love Creatives. That was all the team for sure. And like the way that they come up with social media posts, I feel like it's its own little art form anyways. But if you scroll back, I mean, for both feeds.
All right, I'll check that out after.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
go all the way back to the parrots.
Hey, the parents.
I think my first post was like parrots and like 2 different photos of parrots, but like very similar angles. And then the next one was like bread, I think. This was like 2014.
That's awesome.
When did you join Instagram?
Probably 2000
I was
early,
2014.
like really early, like 2014.
2014?
2013, yeah.
Yeah, like before video.
Yeah,
Oh,
way
yeah,
way
for
before,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
When people were actually just uploading food photos with like a filter that
Weird.
Instagram
Yeah.
provided. Yeah.
Remember
When the
the
logo was
travel
all
photos where there was like the hat
Oh,
and
yeah.
the mountains?
Well, he knows all about that because he's a Pacific Northwest guy over here.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, that was like a huge niche.
Find it,
back
live
then.
it.
I'm so glad you're out of that season of life.
I know. Now here on the mic doing podcasts, I'm so thankful I came out of that season.
Bro, you're not really like an REI guy.
No. I'm like left the like flannels and cold brew at home, so it's all good. We're good.
I got some questions that came up as you were talking about I Love Creatives. Like out of just the journey of like having that team and all, you had to give up a little bit almost. Like I feel like as a freelancer, we try to figure out like when is the right time to grow the team and like how do you give up maybe budgets in order to scale? What was that like? Was it easy for you because you knew that like by bringing other experts on that you were going to be able to level up?
I feel like I don't know where this came from, but I'm a UX designer.
Yeah.
And I am like, I love to be efficient. Like I really love trying to figure out operations, my SOP.
Hey.
So because of those 2 things, like I have become a fast and patient teacher. Because of UX, I can break down processes, break down
That's cool.
things. And then because of my efficiency, I'm like quick to delegate, quick to like give people something. And then just being patient in general allows me to like teach anyone anything. So I've never really had too much of a problem releasing most tasks. But there are some things that I still kind of just want to do. And I think that's okay. Like I'm a little protective of some of that stuff. Yeah.
I think that's just normal. Like there's certain things you don't want to give up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like for me, I don't want to be 50 shooting photos on the beach in Miami.
Right.
I want to be coaching.
Right.
But like, you bet I'm still going to bring my Fuji camera and like take photos and
Yeah.
stuff.
Like there's parts of the process that you just enjoy and you don't want to give it up.
Yeah. I think also that happens when you get older too. And you're just like, I'm ready. Wait, how old are you?
I'm turning 30 this year.
You're turning, I mean, you're not old.
Yeah.
I'm old.
Oh, I didn't say I'm old.
I'm
I said when I'm 50.
Oops.
I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you guys
But you're not old because you know what a horseshoe is.
What?
Off the horseshoe. It's a horseshoe.
The
Hot
hot
shoe.
shoe.
Hot shoe. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what it is. I'm not even a gear guy, but oh my God.
Bro, Thomas behind the camera is like looking
He's
at Paul
dying.
like, dude, come on, man.
You want
Like,
coffee?
Bro, you know I never use
oh
that
my
thing.
God.
Whatever's on top of the camera, I
Yeah,
don't
do you
use.
want more coffee? You
I'm good.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I love it. I do
Um,
that all the time.
I wanted to know where you came up with Slashy.
Oh, because so on I Love Creatives, we have creative directory, like all these different creatives. And I was getting frustrated because they would write like photographer, brand person, guitarist, I don't know, whatever. It was just slash, 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 slash. And I had to increase the div on the website to accommodate all of these slashes. And so I was like, these slashies. And I was, that's where it came from.
That's so cool. And that's where like the name just slashies was birth. Yeah. See, that's such a cool like idea and such a cool concept. And I'm always fascinated by people who just come up with stuff like that just shooting from the hip and it just comes to them.
I don't know, man. I think maybe I'm an only child.
That's awesome.
Where do you want I Love Creatives to be going, like headed in within like a 2 to 3 year span?
That's a great question. I don't usually plan or think about things until baby.
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously, I've never thought about 3 years out, blah, 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 blah. But now I feel like with 5 years of I Love Creatives under my belt, I think that we hit something where people want to upskill. People want to be more creative in their work, but they don't know necessarily what that is or how to get there and what jobs could allow them to do that. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's our goal to figure out what those opportunities are and how you can actually apply and get that opportunity. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was saying we're the new trade school because I think that there was ITT Tech for a sec. Yeah. But there's all these jobs now that like nobody knows even exists like at all. And it might be the thing that they could do. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Because I was on mat leave, I wasn't able to like do some of the courses before I did all the courses. Mm-hmm. And so now we're outsourcing and like finding people that are really transparent about money, about process, about everything. Love to teach, like actually want to help people succeed. Mm-hmm. And then just have a really like their job, you know? So we're finding those people and then working with them to create courses.
That is
amazing. I love it because you've cultivated this thing that experts and creatives can be a part of in order to, again, go out and share with others how to do the same thing, like pricing and negotiation and like design. How many products or like digital products or courses or workshops right now are under I Love Creatives?
Oh gosh, I should know this.
Because I think I was mind blown when I was like digging into all the links. I'm like, there's a freaking dedicated page for everything and it's so dialed.
Yeah, like oh my goodness.
There was like,
but it's organized, like it's
super organized, GIFs, copy, everything was like super on point. Like how many products, just like ballpark, would you say you guys have right now or resources?
You mean courses? We have like under 10.
Okay.
Resources? I don't know. Like maybe like 20-ish.
That's awesome.
But honestly, the resources are stuff that we're just creatively interested in doing. And or someone's asked me like, hey, do you know how to find your hourly rate? And I'm like, yeah, I like made the spreadsheet when I was a freelancer. And so then I'll just put it on the site.
That's so
to
valuable.
Be efficient because I don't want to like have to tell that person.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just here.
Like, just use the tool.
Just use the tool.
I love it that it's a useful tool that you've used and that you're sharing with others versus just like making something to make something. Because that goes such a long way because we all know that, like we talked about earlier, coming up with your rate, I don't care what your lane is as a freelancer.
Dude, it's stressful for a lot of people.
Battle.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've created that for people, like what's it called on your website? So
Do
people
the
can
math.
find it. Do the math. Well, come on.
We have to like point people in
That's
the
in
right
the description of
direction
this episode.
Oh my gosh.
You guys got to get it right and figure out your day rate or a ballpark price.
Yeah, because you won't know, even if you want to do project-based estimates, you need to know your costs. So
tell me why, Puno. We could do an entire episode on
you
pricing.
already did.
And no, me and you and Ed could. And I would need to be standing up because we would go off.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like we're just open micing.
Strange enough, like
all the time.
I know it's something you're passionate about. I've become obsessed with that part.
With what part?
The pricing and the money and the
negotiation. No, you guys
and
are so good at talking about that.
And I want to tell you, like, one thing that I want to be doing that I feel like might kind of speak to what you guys are doing is I want people to call me when they're going into a big pitch to help them prepare for that conversation, to navigate pricing.
I'm going to call you in our next big pitch.
Oh, I would love that. And I'm inspired by this book called Pitch Anything.
Okay.
By this gentleman named Oren Klaff.
Uh-huh.
He's a freaking beast because he gets called into like 10, 50, $100 million gigs.
Wow.
Or, you know,
like
projects.
The project budget. Yeah.
And companies will call him and say, yo, we're going to fly you in, spend a week with us, get to know our company, what we're doing, and then help us sell, and we'll give you a percentage.
Ooh.
And when I heard that, I was
it's like
like,
a whole thing.
I'm like, that's kind of what I want to be doing. Besides being a sports announcer someday.
I hear that.
Sports announcer voice.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, I want to do all these things or be a cartoon.
Just because of, I
can see the cartoon.
because you're on this episode and we love talking about pricing, what are some, besides knowing your rate with the do the math calculator, what are like 3 things that people should consider when trying to figure out that pricing dance with that client? Like, do you have any golden nuggets that come to mind when you're like, you know, this was helpful in kind of building my business, or something maybe that you bring in a conversation with your coaching clients?
I think this might be controversial, but I feel like you need to, one, know what phase you're in as a freelancer.
Facts.
So if you're like in phase one is I've never had a client. Like, you're coming into that conversation with I just need work. You need to have portfolio like pieces, period. So that's your objective, you know? And I know that you can definitely get paid for things, but like, that's not the point. For me, I'm like, phase 1, just focus on that. And I think when I started, I was like thinking that I need to get paid my worth and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you got to figure out what your worth is. And the only way to show what your worth is through your portfolio. So you need a portfolio.
Facts.
Yeah. So I feel like, and then after that, once you're in like phase 2, maybe, and you've had like 15, 20 clients under your belt, you have kind of like this history of estimates already.
Yeah.
And so from there, you can always play around with margins. And you can also kind of start figuring out, asking your friends and seeing like, what are the prices?
Just be like Puno and ask,
Yeah.
what did you charge?
How much do you charge?
What do you, yeah.
I do.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, honestly, that's good.
Yeah, that's how I found out.
That's
How I found out. I was like, oh, I should be charging $60,000 for this website. I didn't know that until I asked, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not gonna lie, I'm kind of mind blown by what you just said.
what?
The $60,000 for
All right, can we
website.
move on to phase 3 before Ed freaks out here?
I'm like,
Y'all are like so
No,
like,
Ed's
$60,000.
contemplating. He's contemplating getting into web design and code and all that now.
I'm not. He's literally clowning right now. Like, I'm not doing that. Although I do love design. I think Paul and I just really love design, which is why I think I love creatives as a brand. Like typography, we love typography, and that's like a big part, I think, of just design in general.
What part of typography do you like? Just like looking at fonts?
Yeah, like just for me.
Or making a font?
No, not making a font. I think it's more so just like the visual aspect for me. Like looking at it, I think it's interesting how our brain will like look at something, and like just because it's placed in a certain spot on a page, and like it registers as this is good, and then one registers this is bad.
Yeah.
Like the psychology behind that makes it's like interesting for me. So I guess it's just that, like, why does this boldness of this font make me feel different than this boldness of this font?
Right.
Like spacing between letters. Why does this make me
feels.
feel more modern? This one feels
Right.
tight and I don't know, like more
Yeah.
minimal. I don't know. Like those kind of things are just fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I think that's where we get along, though. I love layout and presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first became a brand photographer, guess what? I created decks that were so well designed, like proposals, that I would send them off to brands or agencies, and they would get back to me and be like, can we use this? It's like our in-house template.
Like, can we just
And,
change it and buy the
start-
template?
It's
Yeah.
because I rubbed shoulders and asked like some of my favorite designers in Minnesota where I grew up how to do formatting and like fonts and like how to do all the design and like the colors. So then I could get to a point where brands were hiring me not only because of like my work, but also the presentation that came with the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think that goes a long way. Right?
Oh, yeah. When I went to UT Austin.
Ooh.
And I went to the business school, but this was 2002.
Nice.
So, like, I mean, the business school was not really doing a lot for me. But what I learned in the business school is how to make a good deck.
Hey, that deck though.
Yeah, because we'd have to like do pitches, right?
Yeah.
And I think I made a chocolate company or whatever. But people were like, that was so good. Like your company idea is so good. I'm like, it's a chocolate company, but I think you're talking about the deck. Like the deck was sick,
That's awesome.
And then I knew, I was like, oh, decks are sick. So then I actually, one of my cousins was like, can I intern with you? I was like, sure. And so one of the things I told her was like, you gotta know how to make a deck. And it was the first
It's a valuable skill.
It's so valuable. And it was the first time, like basically I would be like, okay, today you need to research SEO and then do a 10-page presentation on it. And then she would do it. And the presentation was fine. Like the information was good, but the deck was ugly.
You're like those
no.
You're like those margins
but
though.
how would she the margins?
Oh, I can't with the margins.
The margins. So I was like, oh my gosh, the basics of the margins.
Yeah.
Didn't know having different fonts, like which font is a good font. So I was just kind of like deconstructing my decks and like reteaching it to her. And I was like, whoa, this is so crazy. And she like made an amazing deck. And that's how she got her first job.
Wow.
Do you have a course on
How to
literally
make a
the deck
deck?
course?
What should we call it?
You gotta
Make a deck?
Knowing you and like the words you come up with, I think you need to come up with something where literally
yeah.
I don't care what business you're in. I even like know friends of mine that are trying to get 9-to-5 jobs at agencies where they're like, I'm trying to like figure out my resume on LinkedIn. I'm like, create a deck.
Okay, deck or business plan?
Ooh.
Deck all day. Deck all dude, that's what we should call the product
Deck
should be
all
called
day.
Deck all day. That's a perfect product
I would say
name.
straight decks.
Straight decks. Oh my goodness. Deck all day.
I think decks are where it's at, honestly.
For
Decks.
sure.
And I already know that you include like motion and GIFs in your decks probably.
Yeah.
Just knowing like
Decks.
who you are.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
If there's anyone who's listening to this podcast right now who is maybe a UX designer, freelancer, and they're just like going through some major struggles, like don't know where to start, they're super overwhelmed. They're like, I need to be on Instagram, need to be on YouTube, need to build my resume, need to build my portfolio. Where would you like tell them to start?
Wait a minute. So they're a freelancer already?
Yes. So they have a skill, but they just don't know where to apply it.
They don't know where to apply it.
Yeah.
I think
I love creatives.com.
were you trying to like lay me up?
No. I actually wasn't, but that's like a good layup. But you know, yeah.
Is that how you say that? So I think the portfolio is like the number one thing. But I also feel like portfolio for sure. Because if you don't have any work, like there's nothing, and nobody can help you.
Mm-hmm.
But then two, I think people are so like, I think people forget how much word of mouth happens with freelancing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to kind of go out there and like get your numbers, get your funnel.
Yeah.
Because like for the, 100 people that you tell that you're a Squarespace freelancer or whatever UX freelancer, maybe only one of those people are going to be your clients, right? So you just need to maximize that amount. And I think I love Paul Graham essays.
I thought you were going to say Paul Weaver. I'm like, chill.
I love Paul Weaver.
Paul Graham, check him out. Damn. Yo, do we need a dolphin with that one? Sheesh.
So Paul Graham wrote this essay called Do Things That Don't Scale. And it was just like a reminder that going out and like one by one, meeting people and finding your client, your potential client, and like literally talking to them is going to take you further than trying to figure out your Instagram or your social thing.
Mm-hmm.
You'll do that eventually, right? But like just expand your network.
Wow.
Because
Yeah.
like when I did an audit on my first year as a freelancer, and I'd say that like 100% were from people, so word of mouth. But 50% came from me going to events, me like reaching out to people and asking them for coffee. And I wasn't anybody at this time too, So, and then the other 50% were like 2 or 3, like I would call them my growth angels or my recommendation angels.
Wow, that's cool.
They're just the kind of people that just know everyone and want to tell you that they know everyone.
They get VIP everywhere.
Those people, like, they are like 50% of my revenue.
Wow.
Because they just help you out. So you have to find those people, but you can't just be like, you know, you have to actually be friends with them.
Exactly.
Be human about it.
Yeah.
I like that you touched on funnel.
Yeah.
Because I think, I don't know, for me, that was like really hard to understand at first, because I thought if I have a beautiful website and I'm posting consistently, I'm going to get business. But no, the funnel is important because it's what happens after that inquiry comes through. And I think it's cool to hear kind of that feedback from you, because it mimics what we kind of believe in when it comes to like freelancers that are trying to get noticed and into the scene.
Yeah.
It's way more than a portfolio. You got to be likable. You got to network. You got to walk into rooms where your potential clients are.
Yeah.
The decision makers. That was good.
But you know, Neil Gaiman, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said this on this graduating speech, and I was like, this is sick. And he was like, if you want to be a good freelancer, you just have to do 2 of these 3 things. One is be on time, be fun or nice to work with, and or do good work, do really good work.
Wow.
But you only have to do 2 of the 3. But it's all based on work.
That's
like,
good.
you gotta have work.
Mm-hmm.
So just,
That's a good blueprint.
you know, yeah.
That's a mic drop for anyone who's looking to take some action now.
I just took that from Neil Gaiman.
Hey, credit was given though. Credit was given. Well, you heard it here. So,
Source noted.
Puno, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. Where can people find you? Obviously, I love creatives, but where would you like to send people if they want to go somewhere and check you out?
Puno dos Tres on Instagram.
I like that.
My last name is not Dos Tres. A lot of people think that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, we really appreciate your time coming here. We're at a peer space that we rented last minute. And to be honest, it's just like cool to be in front of you because we both follow you online. And I know there's other listeners that are kind of tuning in and they're like, I freaking love Puno. And also through the mic, you're a very like, you're awesome online, but in person, you're like your true authentic self just as much as online.
Just as much as
So thanks for being real.
Yay! Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Puno.
Cool.
Bye.
Adios.